Okay, so for our lecture 2 in Biostatistics, it will be about data organization. So review muna tayo sa data. So what are the three types of data? So yung interval, which is about real numbers. Next is nominal. They are not numbers but are words that describe categories. So di ba yung parang inassign natin yung number para sa isang option or choices para sa ating category. Last is the ordinal. So they appear nominal but order of values has meaning. So health information system. So sa HIS, meron tayong classifications of data. So demographic, health status, health resources, and health-related socioeconomic, environmental factors. So sa demographic, ito na yung population size, age, and sex. So geographical distribution, nationality, mortality, and growth rate. So ito yung mga data na ginagamit regarding sa demographic. Health status, causes and distribution of mortality and morbidity as to residence, place of occurrence, age, and sex. So sa demographic, ito yung parang basic na surveying natin. Sa health status, pwede mo kasing bantayan or i-check kung ano yung possible mortality and morbidity depende sa ating residence, place of occurrence, and age. So for example, malaria, common siya sa mga area na Palawan. So yun yung sa residence. Yan. So depende sa lugar, pwede natin ma-determine kung ano yung usual na sakit na meron doon. So health resources, number of distribution of health facilities, health, manpower, health expenditures, services, and statistics. So dito sa health resource, so titingnan natin yung data, kung ano yung meron or kung ano yung census, yung status ng community, saka natin siya lalagyan ng ating mga facilities. Kasi hindi tayo pwede maglagay ng malaking hospital sa isang lugar na mababa naman yung population. So depende sa population yun, saka sa kailangan, sa requirement. So kaya tayo nagko-conduct nitong mga ganito. Next, health-related socioeconomic environmental factors. So water supply, excreta disposal, school enrollment, food establishments, income groups, transport, food intake, and habits. So, kagaya ngayon, depende sa population kung saan. Alangan naman maglagay tayo ng SM, isang lugar na wala namang masyadong tao. So, health information system is a set of interrelated mechanisms which collect, process, analyze, and transmits relative information to the user who subsequently takes actions accordingly. So, ito yung buong process kung saan nagsisimula yung collection hanggang sa pag-analyze ng data para magamit ng kung sino yung nag-request ng data. So, agencies charged with the collection of health data. So, sila yung mga nagko-collect or pwede mag-collect ng mga data. So, local civil registrar, local treasurer, local health officer, or local chief of police. So, statistics office, so ito yung PSA, yung ating mga birth certificate, health department, and educational department. So, sila yung mga nakuha ng data para pwede natin i-forward sa mas mataas kung saan sila kailangan or saan gagamitin. So, there are two elements of the health information system. Number one is the core element. So, this refers to the data information itself. So, yung data mismo. So, program manager is the user of the information. Kumbaga siya yung pinakang head or siya yung nag-request ng data na kailangan. He is expected to have profound knowledge of the condition/disease. So, depende kasi kung ano yung survey or yung data gathering na pinagawa. He determines the data to be collected. So, depende sa kanya or depende sa kailangan kung ano yung kukuning data. Next, support element. So, system design and development, procedures, effective structures, need for logistic staff training and development of means for effective coordination, cooperation, and communication. So, ito na yung ways and means natin to collect the data itself. So, 4 key functions: data generation, compilation, analysis and synthesis, communication and use. So, data generation. So, magkakolek ka muna. Then, i-compile, analyze, and synthesis. So, ito yung graphing, tabulation, communication and use. So, ipo-forward na siya doon sa may kailangan. Then, gagamitin na. So, depende kung ano yung paggagamitan ng ating data. So, for example, gusto mong magtayo ng hospital. So, magde-determine ka muna ano yung kailangan mo or ano yung population ng isang lugar. Then, pag okay na yung population, check mo naman saan ka mag-specialize. If maraming bata, maraming matanda, so depende kung ano yung need ng isang lugar. So, hindi siya basta-basta kung gusto mo magtayo. Diretso na. Hindi. So, dapat pinag-aaralan muna para okay ang magiging project mo. So, tabulation. The tabulation is the arrangement of data in an orderly sequence so that they can be presented concisely and compactly, and so they can be understood easily. So, ito na yung ating start ng Biostatistics, tabulation. So, yung una is tables muna. Kung paano ka gagawa ng table na madaling maintindihan. Tama yung ating legends at maganda yung presentation. So, there are types of data to be tabulated. So, pwedeng frequency distribution, correlation data, and time series data. So, frequency distribution, so it's grouped according to some scale of classification. So, depende kung ano yung classification ng data na sinurvey mo or ginather mo. Sum of entries is equal to the total. So, yung per category is equal sa total or sa lahat ng iyong kinolect na data. Figures may be in actual numbers, percent, or in both. Scales may be qualitative, quantitative, or both. Next, correlation. Used to compare two or more frequencies. So, kapag may comparison ka na. So, total does not represent the additions or partial frequencies. So, may kita nyo to pag nagka-table na. Kasi pag tinotal-total yung lahat, hindi siya mismo yung total. Meron siyang total, pero hindi mo kailangan pag-add lahat. So, halimbawa, age versus sex. So, 2 categories. So, pwede tayo up to 4 categories sa isang table. Up to 4 lang. Last, time series. So, some variable changes over a period of time. So, variable versus period of time, or pwedeng variable dito sa isang table, then nandito yung time or sa pakabila. Okay, so frequency distribution can either be qualitative scale, so recognizes attribute or characteristics, and quantitative, so numbers in accordance with some measuring device, except the numbers assigned in staging the disease. So, for example, nun is yung mga stages ng cancer. So, the process of tabulation. So, una, appraising a table. So, what is the objective of the table? So, ano yung gusto mo talagang i-present do sa table? Does the title convey the objective? Kung yung title mo ba, tama sa ating gusto mong i-present, sa ating letter A. Are the columns and rows labeled properly? Kung tama yung ating labeling ng ating columns and ng ating rows. Are all the data in the table pertinent to the objective and cross-classified properly? So, kung tama ba yung pagkaka-arrange ng data sa table with regards to the columns and the rows? Are there many empty cells? So, pwede kasing may empty, pero dapat puno na yung table. Is it clear to what the total refer? So, may kita nyo yung total na sinasabi pag may table na mamaya. Parts of the table. So, the title. So, title states the objective of the table. So, it answers WH questions. Who, what, where, when. So, yung mga title ng ating table. Stubs. So, basis of classifications in the rows. Tandaan. Rows siya sa rows or horizontal series of the figures. C, column heading. So, So, basis of classification of columns or vertical series. So, vertical naman siya. Okay, so title, tabs, column, headings. Next, body of the table or the body. So, figures filling the cells or compartments brought about the coordinates of the row and column. Marginal total, column total, and row totals. So, mamaya. Total ito ng ating stubs and column headings. Footnote. So, para siya mga sources. So, note placed under the table which gives explanation or indicates sources of the information. Okay. So, ito yun. Ito yung ating letter A, yung ating title. Letter B, stubs. So, yung ating mga row. Ito lahat yun. Ito. Letter C, yung ating column headings. Itong mga ito, column headings. Letter D, yung body of the table, yung content na mismo. Letter E, marginal total. So, mga total nitong mga ito. Yan, ito yung total. So, pwede pa tayo maglagay ng total dito. Ito, letter E din to. So, yun yung mga marginal totals. Then, last is the footnote. So, ito, parang siyang source. So, grouping for tabulation. So, put items, like items together in a specific category. So, age, gender, birthplace are quantitative data. So, group frequency distribution, number of individuals in each category. Yeah. Okay. So, the number of groups to be used will depend on the nature of the variable under study, used to which information will be put into, for example, sex, treatment outcome, stage of disease, and state of immunity, and capability to process the data. So, dito nakadepende kung ilan yung group na gagamitin natin. Ang group ay ito. Yan. Itong ating groupings. 1 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, or 20 plus. So, 1 to 4 is the range and groups. Yan. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, meron tayong 5 groups. Okay. So, grouping by age. So, regrouping the age in some logical manner. So, no fixed groupings, but depends on the purpose or nature of the information. So, most censuses presents into 5 years of age, except ages under 1 and 1 to 4 years. So, for example, in planning for hospital services, what may be useful in the presentation of the population into ages 0 to 1, 2 to 14, and 15 years over, to determine the probable load of nursery, pediatric ward, and adult ward. So, depende kasi sa groupings kung ano yung ipa-prioritize mo sa iyong institution. So, for example, 0 to 1. Kaunti lang yung 0 to 1 patients mo. So, hindi mo na siya masyadong kailangang i-focus yung nursery. Pediatric, yung 2 to 14. Then, 15 years over yung ating adult ward. So, depende sa iyong data presentation kung ano yung kailangan mong physical setup or facilities. So, example. So, kapag mortality by age groups, so, tandaan, itong table na to, 0 to 11, they are described or called infants or babies. 12 to 23 months, children under 2 years. 2 to 4 years are toddlers or preschool children. 5 to 9 are juvenile. 10 to 14, adolescents. 15 to 19, young adults. 20 years and over adults. So, ito na yung mga age groups na pwede nyo gamitin pagdating nyo sa thesis or sa inyong mga research studies. Kapag ganito yung ranges, mas maganda ang ganyan yung gamitin. So, may isa pa. Ito yung ginagamit ng Philippine Pediatric Society or yung tawag PPS. So, ito yung adopted or accepted nila na age groupings. 0 to 1, neonatal period. 0 to 2 months, extended neonatal period. 0 to 1 year old, infancy. Greater than 1, but up to 4 years old, so toddlers. 5 to less than 10, child. 10 to 13, early adolescent. 14 to 16, middle adolescence. And 17 to less than 19, late adolescence. So, years. Yan, category na ginagamit ng PPS. Grouping of measurement other than age. So, regroup in logical manner. Retain most of the important features of the distributing existing before any grouping was employed. So, common numbers of groups observed from ranges 2 to 20. So, usually, pwede kang pumili within 2 to 20 groups. Okay, so terminologies muna tayo. So, raw data or ungrouped data. Ito yung data not arranged in systematic order. So, random. Kung ano yung data na makuha mo, pinakang-basic yung binigay sa'yo, pinasa sa'yo na data. Yan na yun. Raw, ungrouped. So, group data, data represented in a frequency distribution. Frequency distribution, ito na yung group, yung hinati-hati na. Array, data arranged in ascending or descending order. Class limits, values of the classes, inclusive classes. So, kung ano yung pasok sa per class niya. So, lower class limit, smallest value. Upper class limit is the larger value. Ito pa din. So, class boundaries, true values of the actual classes limits. So, exclusive classes. So, tandaan mo na inclusive tsaka exclusive classes. Meron tayong separate na discussion dyan. Inclusive tsaka exclusive. Lower class boundary, upper class boundary. So, smallest value, largest values, respectively. Class midpoint, class mark or midpoint, mean of the upper and the lower class limits or boundaries. Size of class. So, difference between the class boundaries or difference between two successive points. Okay, so tandaan mo na yung mga terminology natin. Okay, so examples. Ito na yung raw data na nakuha natin. 9, 1, 5, 3, 2, 4, and 10. So, i-group natin siya. Ilang groups meron tayo dito? 1, 2. So, tingnan natin kung saan pasok yung, ilan yung pasok sa 1 to 5. 1. Pasok ba to? 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, 5 data yung pasok sa ating first group, which is 1 to 5. Then, 6 to 10. Ilan yung pasok? 6, wala. So, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2. So, dalawa lang. 5, then 2. Next, array is arranged in either ascending or decreasing pattern. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. Okay. 10, 9, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, ascending and descending order. So, establishing class intervals. So, they are the limits of a particular group. So, class intervals may be regular, similar to age, 5, 10, 20, and over 20. So, difference between the highest and the lowest measurement divided by the desired number of the groups resulting to the class interval. So, the lower limit of the next group begins with the nearest figure of the upper limit of the preceding groups. Ano ba ibig sabihin nun? Okay, so for class limits, example natin is 1 to 5. So, ang lower limit natin is 1. Upper class limit is 5. So, class boundaries for 40 to 50, weight in kilogram class. So lower class boundary natin is 39.6 kilograms and upper class boundary is 49.5 kilograms. So ito yung ating formula. Lower class limit of the concerned class plus upper class limit of the subsequent class. The next upper class boundary, upper class limit of the concerned class, then lower class limit of the subsequent class divided by 2. So mamaya ipapakita yung computation para dito. So huwag kayong malilito. Medyo iba yung computation na ginagamit natin dito. Class mark, sum of class boundaries divided by 2. Size of class interval. So yung boundaries lang yan. So 50 yung highest per class minus 40 equals 10. Okay, so ito yung classes natin. 180 to 199. So 200 to 219. So hindi siya sakto. 220 to 239. 240 to 259. So yung class size natin is ima-minus lang yung ating ima-minus size of class intervals. So class boundary, so minus ito. So 179.5, ito kasi yung ating class intervals na. 179.5 tsaka 199.5. So 20. Minus din ito. 199.5 minus 219.5. So 20 ulit. So para makuha itong class size, pagmamainasin lang yung ating class boundaries. Okay. So class mark, ano yung ating class mark? Sum of 2 of class boundaries divided by 2. So add ito. 179.5 plus 199.5 divided by 2, 189.5. 199.5 plus 219.5 divided by 2, 209.5. Okay, so para maka-class mark itong dalawa sa class boundary. Okay, so yung ating class limits. So yung ating class 180 to 199. So limit natin lowest number, highest number. So para makuha ng so yun yung class limits. So 180 lowest, highest. Lowest, highest. Okay. So, para makuha ang class boundaries. So, anong sabi sa ating class boundary? Lower class boundary. Lower class limit of the concerned class. Lower class limit. Ito tayo. Lower class limit of the concerned class. Yan. Lower class limit of the concerned class. So, solve natin ito. Yan. So, anong kailangan? Para makuha ito muna. Itong ating lower class boundary. Ito yung lower class boundary. Okay? So, para makuha, lower class limit of the concerned class. Lower class limit. Ito daw yun. 200. Then, add natin yung upper class limit of the subsequent class. Subsequent, ibig sabihin yung kasunod. So, yung kasunod nito is ito. Upper class limit. So, ito na yung upper class limit. So, pag-add din natin itong dalawa. Anong sagot? So, 199 plus 200 divided by 2. 199.5. Okay? Next, ito namang upper class limit. Upper class boundary. So, upper class boundary is the upper class limit of the concerned class. So, always remember, concerned class yung iyong kino-compute. So, ito yung ating kukumputin. Ito yung class na ating gagamitin. So, upper class limit of the concerned class 219. Next, lower class limit of the subsequent class, yung bago. Yung kasunod naman ito. Kasi upper class limit na to. So, ano yung kasunod ng 219? So, 220. Okay. So, 219 tsaka 220. Ito yung upper class limit of the concerned class. Ito yung lower class limit of the subsequent class. So, add again. Ilan yun? 219 plus 220 divided by 2 equals 219.5. Okay. So, ulitin natin. Dito naman tayo. Solve natin itong 219.5. So, ito yung lower class boundary, LCB. So, ano yung kailangan? Lower class limit of the concerned class plus upper class limit of the subsequent class. So, 219 plus 220 divided by 2, 219.5. Next, upper class boundary. So, upper class limit of the concerned class plus lower class limit of the subsequent class. Ito na yung kasunod. So, add itong dalawa. Hindi, wait. So, ito yung sosolve natin, upper class boundary. So, ano kailangan? Upper class limit of the concerned class plus lower class limit of the subsequent class. Add itong dalawa. Ano ang sagot? So, 239 plus 240 equals 479 divided by 2, 239.5. Okay? So, ganun ang pagsosolve nitong ating table. So, frequency naman, kung ilan yung data na pasok sa ating class limits. So, kailan yung papasok? So, for example, meron kang 181, so isa, tsaka 190, dalawa. So, dito naman, 200. So, pwede dyan 201, 205, 218, 215, and 210. Yan. So, meron kang 5 data. Yun ang frequency. Okay, so ulitin natin. Class limits, ito yung ating na-compute. Kung ilang class yung gusto mo. Frequency, kung ilan yung data na pumasok sa iyong class limits. Paano solve ng class limits? So, pinagmaminus lang yung, kukunin mo lang yung ating lower, lipat dito. Saka yung upper, lipat dito. Class boundary. So, mag-assume tayo ng data before 180. So, yun ay 179. So, 180 plus 179 equals 180 plus 179, 359 divided by 2 equals 179.5. Class mark. Ito naman yung ating midpoint ng ating class boundary. Then last is class size, yung difference ng dalawa. Okay, so ito, try nyo computin kung makukuha nyo din ng tama. So, may additional lang na 5 dito na decimal. So, yung kasunod nito is dadagdagan nyo lang ng isa pang data. Okay, so try nyo itong computin. Okay, so ito na tayo sa exclusive and inclusive form of data. So pag exclusive form of data, check nyo ang ating class limits or class size, 70 to 80. So 70 to 80 means values from 70 and more or less than 80. So less than 80. 70 and more, so ibig sabihin 71, 72, but is less than 80. Usually used for continuous variables, yung mga may counts tayo. So ang pasok dito is hanggang 79.5, mga ganon. So pag 80, dito na siya bilang. So 70 and more, but less than 80. Yan ang ating exclusive form of data. Next, inclusive form of data. 71 to 80 means values from 71 to 80. Sakto kung ano yung nakapasok dito. Kung ano mismo yan. Usually for discrete variables. So, discrete variables yung ating mga whole numbers. Itong isa kasi for continuous variables. So, hanggang 79.9 pasok dito sa ating 70 to 80. Pag 80, dito na siya sa kasunod. Okay? So, yung exclusive, 70 to 80. Ito yun, exclusive. Values between 70 to 79.9. So, dito, 70 to 79.9. So, once mag-80, dito na siya. Dito naman, sakto, 71 to 80. Mga whole numbers yan. So, meaning of lower and upper limits of classes. So, for all ages, lower limit means the exact age, and the upper limit extends just immediately below the lower limit of the next class. Ano may ibig sabihin nun? So, 10 to 14 means 10 years old. So, kapag nag-10 ka na, bilang ka na sa 10 to 14. But, below 15 years old. So, hanggang pag birthday mo na bukas, hindi pa din, 14 ka pa din nun. So, just below 15 years old. So, 10 to 14 and 11 months and 20 plus days. 15 to 19 means exactly 15 years. So, pag nag-birthday ka na, hanggang bago ka mag-birthday ng 20 years old. Pag sa weight naman, 10 to 14 means 9.6 to 14.5. So, pag kinumpute mo yung kaninang upper limit natin ng weight, medyo magulo, gawa nito. So, 10 to 14 means 9.6 to 14.5. 15 to 19 means 14.6 to 19.5. And 20 to 24 means 19.6 to 24.5. So, may kulang na kaunti. Hanggang 14.5, pasok pa dito. So, dito, may extension. Dito, may extension. Dito ay 9.6. Dito naman ay 14.5. Dito ka pa rin bilang. So, once mag 14.6 ka na, saka ka papasok dito. Okay. So, the master table. So, ito yung correlation tables and are constructed involving several scales. So, again, do not go beyond 4 variables. So, cross-classification of related variables only. So, para saan yung ating classification? If the relation of 2 variables is desired, it is necessary to prepare polyvariate table or frequency distribution. Example, classification of medtech students according to enrollment. Enrollment type and sex. So, example ng ating table. So, ano to? Ang tawag dito? Title. Okay, so yung ating columns at rows. So, according to enrollment type. So, enrollment type natin is cash and installment. And ang ating sex is male and female. So, i-check ang ating total. So, meron tayong 22 na lalaki na nag-enroll ng cash and 18 enrollment ng installment. So, ganun sa female. So, dito sa table na to nakita natin 2 variables. So, may male at may female. So, yung ating sex and yung enrollment type. Cash and installment. So, ito yung first variable. Ito yung second variable. Okay. So, nakita natin dito, dalawa na yung classification, yung ating comparison. Dapat, yung total nito ay equal dito. Total nito equal dito. Ito, total mo din dito. Same with dito. So, yung mga total niyan, dapat tally sa data na ibibigay sa inyo. So, arrangement of tables, basic errors. So, lack of convenient cross-classification. So, hindi maganda yung pagkaka-cross-classify. Unsystematic order for comparative purposes. Omitting of data needed to establish the objective of table. Placing too much data beyond the objective of the table. So, dapat kung ano lang yung kailangan. Okay, so example for you before you proceed to exercises. So, types of data. Dengue deaths by age, sex, religion of CTYN 2018. So, ilan yung ating data dito? 4. So, ilan yung data? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, 4 yung data na ating i-arrange. One, 2, 3, 4. So, itong lahat ng data, so, 4 na table yan na magkakabukod. Yan. Ipagsasamahin natin sa isang master table. So, paano yun? Okay. So, tingnan. Ito na yung isang ating data. Age. Ito yung age natin. So, under 10, 10 to 24 and 25 over. Under 10, 10 to 24 and 25 over. Next is sex. So, ito yung ating male and female. Yan. Male and female. Then, Christian and Muslim. Christian, Muslim. So, nilagyan lang natin ang total. And resident and transient. Resident, transient. So, total ulit. So, dito sa information na to, hindi natin masyadong may ilagay yung body of table kasi hindi sinabi kung ilan yung male at female dito. Pero ganito na yung idea kung paano ka sasama-sama or magtatabulate ng 4 na category or ating data sa isang master table. Okay, so paano ang pag-compute ng class interval? So to compute for the class interval, hanapin natin yung lowest and highest numbers. So, hanapin muna natin. So, ito ay yung 2.36. So, ito yung highest. At ang lowest natin is 0.95. So, kukunin natin yung ating highest, 236, tsaka 0.95, yung lowest. Pagmamainasin natin. So, sagot is 1.41. Round off natin. So, 1.4. So, depende kung anong sabihin, pero usually, 1 decimal place na lang yung ating gagamitin. So, sabihin naman sa instructions kung ilan yung kailangan decimal places. So, for example, 10 groups yung kailangan natin. 10 groups. So, 1.4 divided by 10 equals 14. So, lipat na isa. 14.14. So, ito na yung ating class interval per group. So, paano natin makukuha yung ating limits? So, kukunin natin yung lowest, 0.95. Add natin yung ating class interval. So, that is 0.14. So, 1.09 yung ating sagot. So, lower limit is 0.95 kasi ito yung pinaka-lowest natin. Then, yung sagot, yun yung ating upper limit for the first group. So on and so forth. So, lower limit of the next group is the nearest figure to the upper limit of the first group. So, kasunod nun, dadagdagan lang natin na isa. So, 1.10 yung ating kasunod. Plus, 0.14. Okay, so ituloy nyo at ang magiging sagot nyo dapat ay kagaya nito. Okay, so for exercises, basahin itong data. Then, identify the data required or the categories natin. Then, gawa kayo ng master table. So, may konting clue. Hatiin nyo sa Lanao del Sur and Zamboanga del Sur. Tapos, ang ages, may nakalagay dyan na ages. So, kukomputin nyo yung ibang data para makuha yan. So, that will be your assignment. And it will be due on Friday. Thank you. So, if may mga concern kayo, medyo mahirap yung computation, ilalagay ko doon sa discussion ng ating NIO para doon tayo mag-discuss kung paano yung computations pa. Okay, thank you.